Okay, welcome back to Real Life with Jonathan Hayes. Super excited. We got Stephanie Anderson here with Atlantic Bay Mortgage. Stephanie, thanks so much again for being here today. Just tell us a little bit about you and maybe how you got into the mortgage business and what that's been like for you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for asking. So, been in the mortgage business since 2005, 18 years. Got into the mortgage business actually through, I was selling insurance, and one of my insurance clients had a mortgage business, said, "Hey, Stephanie, why don't you give this a try?" And it's been the best career move that I could have possibly made.
Yeah, fantastic. What's one or two things you love about getting up and going to work, working with mortgages, helping people buy houses? Like, what's something that you just love, just gets you out of bed, gets you fired up?
Yes. So, believe it or not, I love the numbers. Like, I love to crunch the numbers. And some days I can't remember my children's name. I have to go through all three of them. But if you ask me what somebody's income was from an application I put in a week ago, I can tell you it was $7,264.12. Don't ask me how.
That's funny. You said numbers. Madeline, my wife, she cracks me up. Like, I get my calculator. I'm like over there like doing these numbers. She's like, "You crunching again?" I'm like, "Cause
Yes.
like we got to deal with numbers all the time." I'm like, all right, what this gonna be? What's that gonna be? I'm sure you saw on Facebook about a week or two ago. It just went viral. This whole thing about a higher credit score versus a lower credit score and what it's going to do for people who are getting mortgages. And even something that was kind of said was maybe it's more beneficial to have a lower credit score. Could you just briefly talk about that and just kind of say to the people who don't really know what's going on, just simply, I was scrolling on Facebook and all I saw one day was this new law that came out that said if I have a good credit score or a higher credit score, I'm going to have like this more of a maybe like a mortgage tax or something.
Right.
Tell what should we do about that, and just kind of give some insight to that.
Yeah, okay, good. So I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people have questions on that. It's not a tax, not a mortgage tax. There have always been adjustments to interest rate based on your risk. So the higher risk borrower you are, the higher your interest rate is going to be.
Okay.
Some of these new changes, they are additional adjustments. Like I said, there's always been adjustments to the interest rate. These adjustments are just not necessarily based on the risk of the loan. So even though somebody has a lower credit score, they are not necessarily getting penalized as much as they were previously. There's been some question about, okay, well, I'll just have my client go out and wreck their credit. They're going to get the benefit. No, absolutely not. So a lower credit score borrower is still going to have a higher interest rate than a higher credit score borrower. It is just the gap between those two is smaller.
Okay. Yeah. So to say that, okay, look, I worked so hard, I got an 800 credit score, and then now I'm going to have to pay out the wazoo because of this new law. Is that true?
No, absolutely not. There is some adjustment, but it is going to be so small. It might be the difference of, let's say you're buying a $300,000 house and your rate was going to be 6%, and that didn't cost you any discount points 6 months ago. Let's just assume no market changes at all,
Sure.
Right? The stock market was exactly the same. That same 6% today might cost you discount points of 0.375. So it may cost you a one-time fee as part of your closing to get that same interest rate that you got.
Yeah. And so like the initial fear of, oh my goodness, now's an awful time to buy a house. My credit's really great, but I'm going to get this huge tax. That's not true at all.
No. I actually ran my own personal one. So have a strong credit score, have some down payment money, and it would have made a difference of 0.15%.
Okay. So minuscule, super minuscule.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you. I feel like that really does clear it up because I know there was a lot of fear involved. And I think that can happen with the media. You just put this like catchy headline and then before people know it, they're all upset because they're like, oh my goodness, I worked hard. I'm going to have to pay for somebody else to buy a house.
Right.
That's not true at all.
No.
So let me ask you this then on that same, question, if I have a lower credit score, is it a little bit more advantageous for me to buy a house now? Is now my time to kind of say, look, I may not have the strongest credit score. I might have had some bad, credit history and things like that, but now there might be an advantage. Is that true?
Absolutely. Yes. So certainly an opportunity for some with lower credit scores to qualify higher than maybe what they qualified at before because they may have previously been at a 7% rate. And now with these new positive adjustments for the lower in the lower credit score bracket, they might be at a 6%
Yeah.
interest rate. So yes, absolutely going to open up more opportunity for them.
Yes, and I know as a realtor, I'm like, immediately people were texting me, oh my gosh, Jonathan, what's going on? I'm like, okay, hang on, let me figure out
Yes.
myself, because like I want to make sure I have the facts. But look, listen, so moving into like, you know, the spring market, that summer market, I know personally I'm seeing a lot more listings and
Yes.
activity in my business. What do you predict, you know, moving forward with mortgages and interest rates and things like that? You know, we've definitely seen a climb from where we were probably about a year ago. And, you know, do you have any prediction about where the market potentially can go interest rate wise?
Yeah. So love to do a lot of reading about forecasting, economics, reading those that are much wiser than myself, right? So, and there are several that have a forecast that the interest rates will go down this year. And interest rates typically follow inflation. So we're already starting to see the inflation numbers go down. As we continue to see those inflation numbers go down, it is forecasted that the interest rates will go down. I believe that is going to have a huge impact on upcoming buyers. And let me tell you why. So you have the fourth quarter of 2022 where we saw drastic rate changes from where we had been. Many buyers put the brakes on. We need to see what the rates are going to do.
Yeah.
Now we don't qualify for the same amount, whatever, you know, their reasons were. So we have all of those pent up buyers that still most likely need a home.
Yeah.
From our first quarter of 2023, the inventory has been very low. And so what happens when the interest rates go down super low? Same thing that happened during COVID. The interest rates went down 2, 3, 4%.
Yeah.
It was like the wild, wild west out there.
Yeah.
So I anticipate 100% that is going to happen. And in fact, I've even been encouraging my buyers, do not wait, because they are going to have more competition when there are more buyers now in the buyer pool because of lower interest rates. We still have an inventory shortage, so there's competition in the market anyway. That just amplifies it.
Absolutely.
So if you remember, you know, from COVID, some buyers were paying $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over the asking price for a home. Don't let that be you. Buy now while the competition is lower before those interest rates go up.
And then potentially we have the option to refinance and to bring that payment down.
Great point. I'm glad you brought that up, because I've been telling people you don't have to compete to refinance. You have to compete to purchase. Exactly. So go ahead and do that while there's lower competition. Take advantage of that. Once the rates come down, we can come back and look at what other opportunities might be available to you.
A lot of people are like, okay, you know, I bought a house, you know, a year ago and I had a 3% interest rate. And then now, you know, my cousin's about to buy a house and he's like at a 7.5%. People are like, what's going to happen? You know, I remember a time when it was 10% and nobody really knows kind of what's going on. But to have that assurance of thinking, you know, hey, this is going to go down. Like we're going to start to see these interest rates going down. But with that, like you said, that competition is going to start to go back up. And I think we all can remember those times, especially me as, you know, listing houses or even working with buyers and being like, look, let's go right now. After work, we got to get in. If you want to buy this house, we got to see it. And
now.
And we kind of got a little bit of that break in that fourth quarter and that first quarter of like, okay, well, we can wait a few days to go and see it because it's probably still going to be here. But anyways, what I would like to ask you just to wrap up is Atlantic Bay, buyer incentives. What are you offering right now? What can you do for buyers to help give them that, like, you know, just a little bit like a cherry on top kind of thing with their loan package and stuff like that?
Good. Yeah. So we're always willing to compete, always, certainly. But we were just talking about folks going ahead, taking advantage of having the opportunity to be able to buy today. If they come back and refinance with me within 36 months of their closing, I will give them some credit towards their closing costs for their refinance. So that way they can still take advantage of the lower interest rate without having such heavy costs on there.
That's great. That's fantastic. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. We
thanks for
really
having me.
appreciate it. And thank you for being our preferred lender.
Thank you.